Hello everyone. Today's video is about auxiliary verbs and this video is dedicated to one of our subscribers, Beauty Queen, and she asked she was asking about one more request, ma'am, as by watching this video all my doubts were clarified. Please make a video discussing the exercises of underline the auxiliary verbs and tenses. I would be very thankful to you if I solved the exercises, but I'm having doubts whether my answers are correct or not, ma'am. And here is your video, Beauty Queen. Listen to it. Yeah, last time, if you remember, we talked about the verbs, and there are three types of verbs like finite verbs, auxiliary verbs, and non-finite verbs. And as I already explained to you, that finite verbs are the main verbs and they are affected by the tenses. They keep on changing with the tenses and the persons, whether it is first person, the subject is first person or second person, and then the number of the subject, whether it is singular or plural. So all these things affect the main verbs, whereas the auxiliary verbs and the non-finite verbs are not affected by any kind of tenses or anything. So today we are going to talk about auxiliary verbs. They are also called as the helping verbs, and basically I've given some examples over there. If you see, they are like am, is, are, was, were, has, have, had, been. Okay, let us clearly understand what these auxiliary verbs are also known as helping verbs, and you know very well that they help the main verbs. They tell the time of the action. And there are two types of auxiliary verbs, primary auxiliary verbs and modal auxiliary verbs. And the primary auxiliary verbs are be forms, have forms, and do forms. Like be forms are like this: I am eating. So be, what is the meaning of be? Be tells the existence. It speaks about the subject's existence and it changes depending upon the subject. It keeps on changing. For example, if we talk about I, then the be form changes like am. In the present tense, it changes like am. For example, I am eating. In the past tense, the same be form changes like I was eating. And in the present perfect, it changes like I have eaten. And in the present perfect continuous, it changes like I have been eating. So like that, you know, the be form changes. And the second person, you. For you, the be form changes like you are, you were, you had been in the past perfect continuous. And the third person, he, she, it also. The be form is like is in the present tense, was in the past tense, and has in the present perfect. Like um, he has eaten, she has eaten, like that. And in the past perfect, it becomes she had eaten. And plural, they are eating, they were eating in the past tense, they have eaten in the present perfect, they have been eating in the present perfect continuous. So all the 12 tenses, okay. And you can see in the I-card, I have given the I-card where the tenses I have explained clearly. All the 12 tenses I have explained clearly with the main verbs. So all of you can watch that video also to understand the tenses very clearly. But for as of now, you know, these are the three auxiliary verbs or the helping verbs which undergo these changes according to the tenses. And coming to the modal auxiliary verbs. So there are different types of modal auxiliary verbs. The first one is requesting permission. When you want to request anything, you use may. May I come in? May I take those books? May I eat those sweets? Like that, if you seek permission, you use may. These are helping verbs. They help the main verbs and they denote the time of the action, and here they denote the tone of the speaker. So second one is expressing ability. That means whether you are able or not. Can. I can lift this table. I can eat 5 idlis for breakfast. Like that, you know, it tells the ability. Third one is expressing possibility. It might rain tomorrow. It might be a holiday tomorrow. So there is a possibility. Fourth one, expressing surprise. Couldn't. I couldn't have believed it. So when you express surprise, this is the model auxiliary verb. And when you express necessity, that means you need to complete the work by today evening at any cost. So this is a necessity. Then the sixth one is expressing obligation. That means this is the condition. You must complete this work. You must attend the meeting. So this is an obligation which you cannot escape. And then expressing an advice or a warning or a threaten, so you can use the negative form of the modal verb shouldn't. You shouldn't go out in the late night. You shouldn't watch television for such a long time. So these are all advices and warnings also. Okay, and sometimes these auxiliary verbs can be used as the main verbs, like for example, I am in the class. So there is no other main verb, only be form. Am is there. It is not a helping verb here, it is the main verb. Okay, then you have two sons or you have two cars. So this is a possession. So this is also a main verb. Here it is not working as an auxiliary verb. So sometimes these be forms, have forms and do forms, they work as the main verbs. Hope you're making sense out of it. Okay, now these are the exercises. One of the subscribers asked for it. And yeah, these are the different types of model auxiliary verbs just now I have discussed, and the exercise is the three columns are there: auxiliary verbs and the negative forms, and we do not use the expanded form of the negative form. We use a contraction of the negative form. For example, is, the negative form is not, and the contraction is isn't. Can, negative form is cannot, and the contraction is can't. So this is the exercise I think you've been asked for. Complete the following table. First one is auxiliary, be form. And the tense, present tense, they want the form. So what is the present tense form of be? Am, are, or is. I am, you are, he is. And then the past form of be is was and were. And then the future is will be, and the present of have is has or have. She has is she, he and it. She has a notebook, she has a pencil, like that we can use as in the present tense. And in the past tense it is had. She had her own house, she had a car. Then the future tense. What is the future tense of have? Will have. We will have the exam tomorrow. Like that, it becomes the future. And do forms. In the present, it is do or does. And in the past, it is did. Yes, she did it. Yes, you did it. Future will do. The complete the following table. Again, the same kind of exercise. Is given. Negative form is not, and the contraction is isn't. Are not. But usually we don't use these expanded forms of negative forms. We use the contracted. Aren't. Was. What is the negative form? Was not. But we will not use was not. We say wasn't. So isn't, aren't, wasn't. These are some of the contracted forms, and we have to use only the contracted forms in the daily communication. We will not use the expanded forms. Let us see some more. The auxiliary is were not, weren't, has not, hasn't, have not, haven't, had not, and hadn't, does not, doesn't, do not, don't, did not, didn't, or didn't, will not, won't, would not, wouldn't, shall not, shan't. This is rarely used but grammatically correct contracted forms. Should, shouldn't, should not and shouldn't. Can, cannot, can't. Could not, couldn't. May not, mayn't. This is also rarely used. Might not, mightn't. This is also again an uncommon contracted forms, but grammatically this is correct contracted form. Must not, mustn't. Need not, needn't. Ought not, oughtn't. Dare not, daren't. So these are all the different auxiliary forms, and in the negative forms always remember they are used in the contracted forms. Okay. So underline the helping verbs and the corresponding main verbs. This should be very easy for you. This is an example. Did Suresh play the game alone? In this question, did is the helping verb and play is the main verb. I could come along with you. Could is the auxiliary and come is the main verb. Could is the ability auxiliary. The visitor has been waiting for a long time. Has been is auxiliary, waiting is the main verb. If she doesn't do well in the exam, she'll have to attend remedial classes. If she doesn't is the auxiliary and do is the main verb. She'll have to attend. Have to is the auxiliary and attend is the main verb. I have brought a new bag. Have is the auxiliary, bought is the main verb. And we hope you don't meet him. So don't is the auxiliary and meet is the main verb. She wouldn't dare do that. Wouldn't is the auxiliary, dare, uh, do is the main verb here. You must work hard every day. Must is the auxiliary and work is the main verb. The clothes might look clean. Might is the auxiliary, look is the main verb here, and they aren't. Aren't is again an auxiliary in the negative form, the contracted form. I'm going to the railway station. Am is the auxiliary, going is the main verb. I have to catch a train. Have to is the auxiliary and catch is the main verb. Do you want to hitch a ride? Do is the auxiliary and hitch is the main verb here. Does the restaurant have a delivery service? It might have. So does is the auxiliary and have is the main verb here. It might have. Might is the auxiliary and have is the main verb. So this is how we are going to differentiate between the auxiliary verbs, that is the helping verbs, and the main verbs. Now next exercise, fill in the blanks with the correct auxiliary verbs from the given choices. The choices are given there. Were, where dash your friends going yesterday? So there are four options and the correct option is were. Where were your friends going yesterday? The car dash always been my favorite. The car has always been my favorite. Has is the auxiliary, been is the main verb. Remember, sometimes be also works as a main verb. So here it is turned into been. Whom dash you meet this afternoon? And the answer is whom did you meet this afternoon, because the action is completed. Fourth one, my team dash yet lost a match. So the answer is my team hasn't yet lost a match. Fifth one, he dash going to be angry when he finds out. So what could be the answer? Is. He is going to be angry when he finds out. And the sixth one, my aunt dash like driving. She prefers to be chauffeured instead. And the answer is doesn't. My aunt doesn't like driving. She prefers to be chauffeured instead. So, seventh one, Gayatri dash enjoyed the movie. It wasn't interesting. That means the action is completed. So, it should be in past tense. So, the Gayatri did not enjoy the movie. I love the seaside, but I dash know how to swim. I don't know how to swim, or I do not know how to swim. But in the spoken language, we have to use the contracted forms don't. Then where dash you see my phone? The answer is where did you see my phone? Mehraj dash reached yet. He's late as usual, and the answer is hasn't. Mehraj hasn't reached yet. He's late as usual. So these are some of the auxiliaries you have learnt today. And let us go back to the subscribers doubt once again, and hope you have understood it, beauty queen. And if you see your own query has so many auxiliaries and main verbs, hope you are in a position to identify. Let me help it to you. So were clarified, were is the auxiliary and clarified is the main verb over there. Am having, am is the auxiliary and having is the main verb over there. And make a video discussing the exercises. Make is the main verb, discussing is the non-finite. If you remember the previous video, it is non-finite, discussing. Okay, and then would is the auxiliary and be is the main verb. So these are some of the, and have solved. Have is the main verb, sorry, auxiliary, and solved is the main verb. So these are some of the auxiliaries you have learned today. Hope you have understood it clearly. Try solving the exercises on your own, all of you. Thanks for watching, and if you feel the video made sense, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. Bye bye. See you in the next video. Take care, all of you.